Hello, everybody. Welcome to those of you joining us. I'm Jo from SLC. Please do say hi in the chat and let us know where you are today. Where are you joining us from? Okay. All right, great. Welcome to everyone who's just joining us now. Just let us know in the chat where you are. Anybody got their test coming up soon? Okay, we've got lots of different places: Albania, UK, Tokyo. Great. Great. Kuwait as well. Fabulous. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are sharing my screen. We're going to look at OET writing, and we'll be specifically focusing on the difference between informing and reporting information versus requesting. Okay. So before we begin, if you don't already, follow us on YouTube. Okay, the link's coming up in the chat box now. Do follow us on YouTube. We've got loads of great strategies and tips videos on there. We've got a new season coming up soon, so do subscribe so that you get the notifications when we post a new video. Today is the last live session for a while that we'll be posting publicly, but if you want more live lessons like today, do sign up for our course, Reach OETB. So it's a full course explaining everything about the OET and how to pass each of the papers, but it also includes 4 of these live lessons a week, but they're only available if you subscribe to the course. They've also got loads of videos and 2 full practice tests. So it really is a comprehensive course. Okay, the links are in the chat box now. If you're not already a member of our course, click on it and join today. So we'll look at what you might report and request, useful language for these functions, and how do you know if it's a request versus how do you know if you need to report it. So we'll look at those things today. So first of all, I'm going to launch a poll. Okay, so there are 4 phrases here. Which phrase does not indicate action to be taken by the reader? So please vote in the poll now. So you've got A, B, C, or D. Click on the letter and submit. Which phrase does not indicate action to be taken by the reader? Okay, please vote in the poll now. Okay, lots of different things coming through. Please vote now, just another few seconds. So 3 of them require action to be performed on the patient. 1 of them does not require any action, you're just reporting information. Okay, last 2 seconds. If you haven't voted, please vote now. Okay, so let's have a little look at the results. So the majority of you have chosen C as the phrase that does not indicate action to be taken by the reader. And that is the correct answer. So C, option C is not asking the reader to do anything. It's just saying this is in place. So let's take a look at those now. So requesting action is phrase A, B, and D. So it would be appreciated if you could monitor his blood sugar levels. You're asking the reader to do it. Her dressing should be changed daily. You're telling the reader it needs to be done. Your further assessment and diagnosis would be appreciated. It's a polite request asking for further assessment and diagnosis. So this is action to be taken. Whereas this phrase here, an appointment has been booked at the outpatients for the removal of the staples on the 23rd of February. This is just informing the reader that this is going to happen. So it's action already taken. the appointment has already been made. The reader doesn't need to do anything, but it is useful information for them to know. So this is really important that you clarify between informing and reporting and requesting before you actually write the sentences. So this is what we'll be looking at in more detail now. So first of all, let's think about what are all the things or some of the different things you need to include in an OET letter, both informing and reporting and requesting. So for example, one thing that you might need to inform the reader about is relevant medical history. Let me know in the chat box, what kind of things do you need to include in an OET letter? So think about informing and reporting, and also think about what things you need to request. Okay, some ideas coming through. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got social history, medication, current medical condition, requests for monitoring. For example, so think about future needs as well. Because often you need to report about future care and request about future care. Okay, so these are a lot of the things that you'll need to do. Let's just look at some of them. It's not an exhaustive list coming up, but here are some of the things. So we've got relevant medical history, social history, symptoms, examinations, further assessment, test or lab results, diagnosis confirmation, management, monitoring, assistance with ADLs. These are just some of the things that you might need to ask, to request or report, depending on what the task is in your letter. So I've got some here. I've got monitoring, examinations, further assessment, relevant medical history, test and lab results, and assistance with ADLs. Let me know in the chat box which numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are informing or reporting, and which numbers are B, requesting. Let me know what you think. So write letter A and the numbers that relate to that, and letter B, the numbers that relate to that. So which ones do you think are most commonly informing and reporting, and which ones are most commonly requesting? Obviously, it does depend on the task and who you're writing to, but as a general rule, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some good ideas coming through. Obviously, I think it depends on we need to know a little bit more context, but these are what could very possibly be. You could inform about examinations that have taken place, relevant medical history and test results, and you might request from the reader more monitoring, further assessment, or you might request, quite common in nursing case notes, assistance with ADLs. But again, we need to look closer at the context. So what we need to do now is thinking about, there's lots of different things that we need to provide information on in our OET letters. So we're letting the reader know this has happened or this is going to happen. And there's always going to be something to request. It depends on the letter. Medicine case notes often, but not always, just have one request. Unless it's a discharge letter, and there might be several requests. Nursing letters tend to have more requests, but not always. So take each task separately. So you will always have to give information and request action. Kinds of things that you will provide information on, yeah, medical treatment, current conditions, interventions from other healthcare professionals, medication, upcoming appointments. Okay, so particularly, I think upcoming appointments and intervention from other healthcare professionals, these are things you need to report about future care needs. Obviously, this is always going to be reporting. You're not normally requesting about this, but you're going to be reporting about this, but perhaps there are things that haven't happened yet. Okay, and then typical things that you might request are things like this. So more medical treatment, perhaps a diagnosis. If you're writing a letter to a doctor and you or a specialist and you have a specific you have a suspicion, you might ask them to provide a diagnosis, follow-up care. You might ask for further tests. You might ask for management. You might ask for monitoring, or perhaps wound care. That's quite common in nursing. So what about language? So again, here I've got 6 phrases. Little task for you in the chat box. Again, let me know which phrases are informing and reporting, A, and which numbers are requesting, B. So let me know in the chat box which phrases are used for informing or reporting and which ones are used for requesting. Okay, lots of ideas coming through in the chat. Great, good ideas. Yeah, I think everyone's got it. So remember, requesting is action you want to happen, whereas the other ones is just what you're letting the reader know about. They don't actually have to do any action, or nobody has to do any action. It's already organized, or somebody else is clearly doing it. So here we have the answers. So for informing and reporting, an appointment has been arranged. So the reader doesn't need to arrange the appointment. It's already been done. So this could be a follow-up appointment with the surgeon, a physiotherapy appointment, hydrotherapy, things like that. You can also use the future here. You know, she will attend physiotherapy once a week. She will attend the hospital outpatients department twice a week. So this is things that are going to happen regarding their future care, but the reader doesn't actually need to do anything. They don't need to make sure they go. They don't need to go with them. They just need to know. Again, here, his staples are due to be removed on the 13th of February at the outpatients. The reader's not removing the staples. Okay. Requesting is what the reader needs to do or organize to happen. Okay. So for example, here, it would be appreciated if you could monitor her wound. I would be grateful if you could change her dressings. Or here we've got the example of your further management is required. Okay, so here specifically you're requesting. This is the action required by the reader. So here's some useful language. So these are some polite request phrases. Learn them and use them. So you've got the classic, it would be appreciated if you could, and then a verb. Okay, it would be appreciated if you could perform an assessment. Or you could use, I would appreciate it if you could monitor his wound. I would be grateful if you could assess him for the possibility of surgery. So these are very polite request phrases, appropriate to an OET letter. You might also do something like this, you know, your further assessment and management would be appreciated. That's another phrase that's commonly used, perhaps at the beginning of the letter when you're writing the purpose statement. And you can also use this phrase here, could you please, or please could you monitor his medication compliance. So make sure you're confident using maybe 2, 3 of these phrases. You don't need to use 5 request phrases in one letter. Make sure you're confident in using them, learn them, and practice using them. And then talking about future care needs. So I'm not looking at reporting what's already happened, okay? That's always going to be reporting the past. So talking about the future, you've got some phrases here that you might use for reporting. What's going to happen? For example, her staples will be removed in 10 days' time. He is to attend the osteopathy outpatients once a week. The occupational therapist will assess her house for modifications. And you've got a few others here. He requires assistance with his ADLs. She requires further assessment and diagnosis. But what's different here is the top 3 here. This is all useful information to inform the reader about that somebody else is doing that action. Whereas here, it's action to be taken. Okay, he requires assistance with his ADLs by the reader or someone else. Okay. So in order to score highly for content in OET criteria, you need to make sure that you include all information needed for continued care and that it's accurate. This is so important, because if it's inaccurate, your band score is going to drop dramatically because the patient's not going to receive the care that they need. So how do you know? How do you know if the reader needs to take action? Let's have a look. So here we've got, I think this is from a set of medicine case notes from the OET website. So let's have a little look at the writing task. So we're writing a letter of discharge to Miss Gold. She's the head nurse at Primrose Nursing Home. In your letter, briefly outline Miss Gale's history, as well as your concerns and recommendations. So the recommendations are obviously going to be the action required. So we've got ready for discharge to nursing home for temporary care. So we've got a little bit of the context. Concerns. Patient lives alone, no home help. Okay, well, that's obviously why she needs to go there. Keen to return home ASAP. Significantly lowered mobility. And then you've got this phrase. It's the connecting action. 30 minutes per day of physical activity to be encouraged. Still episodes of confusion. Assessment for independent living recommended. Write to head nurse at nursing home for further care required. So we know that we need to request this. Yes, the reader needs to make sure this happens. And this. Assessment for independent living recommended. So request it or explain that this is your recommendation. And then you've got plan. Write to head nurse at home, further care required. Now, you don't need to request. A lot of people make a mistake and they go, you know, it would be appreciated if you could write to the head nurse and request further care. This is the letter you are writing. So you don't need to add this at the end of your letter. Please, could you write? This is your plan as the person writing the letter. So you might use this in your opening paragraph. You know, I'm writing regarding Miss Gold, who is moving to your nursing home for temporary care. She, you know, your further care would be appreciated, something like that. Okay, so let's look at another example. Oh, yes, before verbs. Verb. See here, we've got to be encouraged or recommended. So often verbs are included if they require action. Not always, but usually. So look out for an indication of a verb to show you that action needs to be taken. Let's look at another example. Here's an extract from a set of case notes. So it's a letter to a community nurse who needs to take over the care of the patient. So it's a discharge plan. The patient's been in hospital with infected leg ulcers. Now, thinking of that context, which of these case notes does the reader need to take action for? So we've got 4 lines here. Let me know in the chat box which parts express action to be taken by the reader. Let me know in the chat box now. Great, some good ideas coming through. So everybody's definitely putting 2 and 3, and some people are putting 1, 2, 3. Some people are putting 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, remember what I said about the verbs. So we've got a verb here, we've got a verb here, and here, and here. Okay, and we know we're writing to the nurse who's going to take care of the patient after they've been discharged. So I think we can safely say that the nurse needs to do this. Here, there's no verb, and we've already got the date. If the date is set, we can assume that the appointment's already been arranged. So we don't need to request this. The reader does not need to take action for number 4. They just need to know because it's useful. So the answers here would be action to be taken for number 1, action to be taken for number 2, action to be taken for number 3, but number 4, already organized. So you need to make sure you have this clear in your head because it's going to affect the language you use, which we'll take a look at now. So this is the appointment. I'm going to launch a poll now, and I would like you to tell me which phrase best reports the appointment to the reader. A, B, C, or D. So you've got 4 phrases. Which one best reports these case notes accurately? Remember, no action required. You're just telling them that it's happening, that it's arranged. So please vote in the poll now. Yeah, not in the chat box, in the poll. So click on the option. Remember, no action necessary. You're just reporting it. So this should be very easy. Okay, let's have a little look. So some of you have put A and D, which require action from the reader. So the correct answer is, as most people have chosen, option C. So let's have a little look. So remember, this is something, we've got the date, it's already been arranged. So just report it. An appointment has been booked at the diabetes clinic on the 18th of February for a diabetes review. Now, some people were putting option A. Where does it say in the case notes, ensure he attends his appointment? There's no indication there that you have to make sure she goes. You'd probably be okay if you wrote that, but you need to be careful about putting things like this in your writing if it's not directly stated in the case notes. Okay, depending on the context. Again, here, please could you accompany him? There's no indication that you need to go with that the reader needs to go with the patient. I mean, he's possibly at home looking after himself and can get the bus to the appointment himself. There's no indication in this line that the reader needs to go with the patient. Similarly here, I would be grateful if you could arrange an appointment at the diabetes clinic. No, there is no where's arrange in this line? And, you know, you work in healthcare settings, you can't decide on the appointment date. Yeah, they would probably decide on the date, not you. So because you've got the date here, you can assume that it's already arranged and you just report it. Therefore, option C is the only way you could express that. So be careful. Final thing is, so here's all the action that is to be taken. So we've got quite a lot. What I would like you to do now is I'm going to launch another poll. And I would like you, so not in the chat, in the poll, paragraph 1, 2, or 3, look at the screen. Which paragraph do you think best describes the action to be taken? What's the best paragraph in your opinion? I'll be quiet for a couple of minutes while you read and vote. Okay. Okay, please vote in the poll. Okay, just another half a minute. Please use the poll, not the chat box. Okay, just a couple more seconds. If you haven't voted, please vote now. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. So the majority of you have chosen paragraph 2, but some of you have also chosen paragraph 1 and 3. Well, I can confirm that the better paragraph is paragraph 2, and I'll explain why. Look at paragraph 1. After discharge, his dressings will be changed. I mean, that suggests that someone's already organized, you know, that someone else is going to do it. Will be reported, you know, I think there's no requests in here. You need to have some requests. The will be changed, will be reported. That suggests to me that it's organized with someone else. But you actually want to ask the reader to do it. Now, paragraph 3, you may be asking, why is this wrong? It's not wrong. It's just a little bit inappropriate because you've overdone it. Look how many, after discharge, it would be appreciated if you could change his dressings and if you could report any increased pain. It would be appreciated if you could, and I would be grateful if you could. It would also be appreciated if you could, and please could you. You do not need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 request phrases in one paragraph. Link them together nicely, like in paragraph 2. So here we've got, after discharge, his dressings need to be changed 3 times a week. Okay, so we've just put it like that, just sort of reporting the future action, and any increased pain or infection should be reported to his GP. It would be appreciated if you could monitor his hemoglobin level and perform a blood test once a week. So you've joined together 2 related requests. In addition, please could you monitor his blood glucose level and encourage a low sugar diet. So here we've got lots and lots of requests, but I've not overdone it on the request phrases. Okay, so find the right balance. Study tip, create a language bank of useful language in your notebook. Write lots of example sentences in a variety of contexts. Okay, so something like this. Here's the language for requesting and example sentences in different contexts. Okay. We've got time for a quick 1 or 2 questions. Do you want to put in the Q&A? So we've got a question, can I use finally? You can use finally if it's a sequence of things that need to happen. It's not necessary. You could just use in addition if you want to. And then I've got which word could replace the above mentioned. I'm not sure what you mean by the above mentioned. If you mean the actual phrase, I'm writing to refer the above mentioned patient, just don't use that phrase at all. I would suggest saying, I am writing to refer Mrs. Smith. Don't use the above mentioned, use the actual name. Yeah. Any other questions in the Q&A before we finish? Okay, is there any word limit? There's word guidance. Okay, so it says 180 words approximately. If you write a couple of words under or over, that's fine. If you're writing 300 words, it's too much. You've probably included irrelevant information. And spelling does matter if it affects understanding. Yeah, you do want to be as accurate as possible. A few minor spelling errors should be fine, but I think the overall accuracy needs to be correct. While using numbers, do we write words or numbers? Numbers are fine, yeah? Okay, I'm afraid we're out of time. This video will be uploaded to the YouTube channel in the next day or two. Just to remind you, if you want more live lessons like this, you will need to sign up with our course, Reach OETB. So information's coming up in the chat box about how to do that. And if you have any questions, you can also just email us, okay? If you're already subscribed, great. You can come to all our lessons, okay? Also, please do follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, okay? And don't forget, we've got a variety of courses. So the Reach OETB courses do include practice tests, or you can just buy practice tests on their own. Or if you're looking for more detailed writing correction, we've also got a writing correction service. So the links are in the chat box now, or you can always check out our website, specialistlanguagecourses.com. Okay. Thanks for attending, everyone. If you're a member of our Reach OETB program, I will see you on Wednesday. If not, good luck with your studying. Take care, everybody. Bye.